Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim. O unique one, O Lord, protector and sustainer, O one who gave us life, one who continues to give us life, O one to whom we owe all that we have, to whom we owe all that is, who created everything that we see, and who is the only one who can help us. We ask you for your help. We ask you to forgive us. We ask you to bring light into our being so that we can see the reality of existence, which is the reality of your light. We ask you to open up our hearts so that we can see with the inner part of ourselves that which is real, that which is haq, reality, your reality, O Lord. We ask you to open up the portals so that our vision is capable of understanding the truth of existence, and illusion no longer blinds us to reality. Allah, we ask this of you, and we prostrate before you and surrender to you and pray that you take us on the straight path and bring us close to you. Ameen, Ameen, Ya Rabbil Alamin. Wherever we are at this instant, we have the possibility to transcend into reality. The separation between ourselves and reality doesn't have a distance. It's just our attitude. It's the veils that separate us. These veils are thinner than gossamer wings. These veils are thinner than the finest of silk, but these veils are sufficient to keep us separated from our Lord. We need to do away with these veils, and we need to ask Allah to take these veils away from us so that we can see the truth. Allah is everywhere and within everything, and He touches all that there is, and He touches us. We need to be able to feel Him. We need to be able to taste Him, to smell Him, to be with Him. And to do this, we have to make ourselves into a state that is acceptable to Him. As we become acceptable to Him, He comes closer to us. And the path towards that is the path of purification. Now, there is what's called wudu, which is the cleansing of our hands and our faces and our elbows and our feet. And this is an external cleansing. But we also need to be involved in an internal cleansing. We need to purify the qualities within us so that the qualities are appropriate for visitation with Allah. We have to purify ourselves on a continuous basis so that we are acceptable to the truth and acceptable to Him. Transcendence is available to us at any moment, but we have to be available to transcendence. We cannot be holding on to this illusory world and grasping it as if it were our lifeline to reality, as if it were what maintains us and sustains us, and simultaneously be surrendered to Allah and be traveling towards that space. when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, went on Miraj, when he went to Jerusalem, when he took all of these travels, it all started from him sitting still and then taking off. Understand that all of the realms are available to us from sitting still and then taking off. And what is involved in this process of sitting still and taking off? It involves being here and everywhere simultaneously. It involves leaving this being of flesh and bones and elements and traveling into the light that surrounds us on every side of us, below us, above us, to the east, west, south, and north. In every direction, we are within the light of Allah. In every direction, Allah surrounds us. Yet, we are concentrated on ourselves to the extent that we don't understand that we swim in reality. It's like the fish who wants to know what water is. We are in the light of Allah, and we are here at every moment. And yet we ask, where is Allah? Why can't we see Allah? Why can't we know Allah? Yet everything that we look at, everything that we encounter, everything that we come near is proof of His existence. The budding flowers are proof of His existence. The barking dog is proof of His existence. We just need to understand that. The dervish was walking through the marketplace, and a vendor who was selling watermelons was screaming, "The sweetest there is, the sweetest there is." The dervish immediately thought of Allah and fainted. The proofs are everywhere. They're for us everywhere. They surround us everywhere. We just need to tune into them. We need to give up this attachment that we have to this elemental existence and tune in to the light, tune in to reality. It is important for us to have ecstatic experiences. Why do the whirling dervishes whirl? Why do the various Sufi sects throughout the world do different kinds of zikrs? They do it to be able to transcend themselves, to somehow create a state where they leave themselves. They induce into themselves higher states through entering into a sort of practice that allows them to lose their constant relationship to their own consciousness. Imagine for a moment about your memory bank and think about the entire past of your existence. It is made up of your memories. Now, these memories exist with you and maybe a few other people who shared some of these things with you, but they exist in an ethereal place that no longer exists. They're just memories. Can we stop being influenced, attached to, and dependent on our memories to define who we are. Can we escape from our memory banks into our future where we are entrance into reality? What of what benefit is what we've learned in the world when we face Allah? Of what benefit are our titles and our honorariums when we face Allah? Of what benefit are the tributes we've been given, or the exalted names that we may have when we come before Allah, the truly exalted? Allah is beyond measure, and we, to truly understand the vastness and the greatness that is Allah, have to become very, very small. My teacher, Muhammad Rahim Bawa Muhaiyaddeen, my sheikh, my father, called himself the Ant-Man, called himself the smallest creature, the most insignificant creature in existence. The point being that he was trying to get across that in comparison to Allah, we are nothing. We are de minimis. And the pride that we have, and the arrogance that we have, and the narcissism that we have, and the self-importance that we have, all these things do is separate us from the truth. We think they create a reality around us, a reality of importance, a reality of fame, a reality that deserves credit of some sort. But in truth, it creates nothing but a separation between ourselves and our Lord. It creates the veils that keep us from knowing the truth. So we have to become small. We have to go to a place regularly where we disappear, where our memory banks are not constantly pushing at us and defining who we are. We need to go to a place where we are without ourselves. We are without the illusion of ourselves. We are without the idea of ourselves. We are without the constant reminder that we are and we need to be important. We have to begin to understand that we are not, and in truth, we are other than what we understand through the nature of this world. In order to truly know who we are, we have to truly know our Lord. He created us and he put himself in us, and he is part of us. He is the only real part of us. And if we are going to know the reality of ourselves, we have to know him. But to know him, we have to let go of ourselves. And as long as we desperately hold on to ourselves, as long as we are in love with ourselves, then we are the idol that separates us from the one God. When we speak of idols, most people think of statues, such as the ones that Muhammad destroyed in the Kaaba that people came and worship. But the greatest idol that most men have is themselves. And this is the one they spend most of their time trying to enhance, trying to make important, trying to make the most important thing in the world. However, if we truly look at the span of our life, what we've gone through, what we are going through, we begin to understand that our moments of greatest elevation, our moments of greatest happiness, our moments of greatest joy is when we have lost that image of ourselves and we have been in a state of love towards someone else, in a state of compassion towards someone else, in a state of mercy towards someone else. We've been able to bridge that which holds us in reserve, and that which holds us back is ourselves. And it's only through letting go of ourselves that we can begin to move forward. And when you've spent a lifetime trying to make yourself great, to be told that in order to become truly great, you have to let go of all that you've learned your whole life and all that you've worked at for your whole life, seems counterintuitive to so many people, and they turn away from it. The usual reaction to being told about letting go of illusion is, this is my life, I've grown to enjoy it, I've grown to be accustomed to it, and I'm not ready to give it up. Now, it's like the story of the man who was on an island, and the dictator of the island had put restrictions on ships and put restrictions on leaving. But there was a story that if you were fortunate, you could find a teacher who could teach you how to do something called swimming. And that would get you to freedom and get you off the island. And if you were fortunate enough to find one of these people, they could teach you how to swim. And then when this one man finally found a teacher, and he said, I understand you are the one that can teach me how to swim. And he said, yes. And he said, well, what do we need to do this? And he said, well, first, you have to enter into the water, and you have to move your hands and feet in a certain way. And he said, okay, I'm ready to do this, but how do I take my furniture with me? And how do I take my possessions with me? And he said, well, to swim, you can't take your furniture. To swim, you can't take your possessions. To swim, you have to leave everything behind. And most people then decide they don't want to swim. They don't want to learn how to swim. Now, is freedom worth giving up all of the things that you're tied to? Is freedom worth giving up all of the things that attach you to this world? When we think about our emotional state, what is it that causes us misery in this world? It's our attachment to the things that we have, the fear of losing the things that we have, and the desire to get more things like the things that we have. This is the purpose of life for so many people, and they're not able to create another life. They're in a constant attempt to fulfill their desires. But fulfilling desires doesn't take us anywhere. Fulfilling desires is the work of an overactive mind. The mind creates a desire, then the mind tries and fulfill the desire. And as soon as that one's fulfilled, the mind creates another desire and then tries to fulfill that desire. And the mind's interaction is with elemental things. So all of these desires are elemental in nature, and the mind works with the elements. The mind is limited to the illusory world. And to cross the ocean of illusion that separates us from reality, we also have to cross the mind. We somehow have to stop being influenced by the constant voices in our heads. Schizophrenia is defined as aberrations of voices in the mind that make people do things that are not within what we consider normative in society. Well, we all have these aberrations. The question is, to what extent do we have these aberrations? I know people who were told in their head to go jump off a bridge, and they did, and they shattered both of their feet. Fortunately for them, they didn't pass. They lived through it. But the point is, if we continue to do the things that our mind tells us, we will continue to go deeper and deeper and deeper into the world of illusion. So we have to give ourselves a respite from our mind. We have to give ourselves a break from our mind. We have to somehow relieve ourselves of our mind. And this is why we do zikr. This is why we enter into experiences that take us out of our mind. And this is why the sheikhs teach us to do things that bring forth a memory within us of reality and of the truth. And at the core of this is the recitation of zikr. At the core of this is the recitation of prayer. At the core of this is the ability to give of oneself unto others. At the core of this is to stop taking in this world and begin giving in this world. At the core of this is to change our nature from selfish to altruistic, from needing to giving. At the core of this is to become selfless. And there are so many ways to become selfless. There are so many things that we can do that are selfless things. And we have to begin to think about the selfless things that we can do. I'm looking now at a dear friend of mine whose name is Dr. Ganeshan, who's on with us now. And he left his life in Sri Lanka to come to the United States to be a translator for Bawa Muhaiyaddeen. He had the ability to speak Tamil and speak English. He still has it. And he used that ability to be able to give to many of us the words of Bawa Muhaiyaddeen. Without people like him, we wouldn't have been able to understand these words. Bawa would have talked, but his words would have been a mystery. He gave up his life and what was his life on behalf of the community in Philadelphia and the community now around the world who listens to Bawa Muhaiyaddeen, who are able to understand the teachings of truth because of his sacrifice and what he did. We are all grateful and thankful for that. We have to understand the nature of that kind of giving, and we have to become involved in that kind of giving. Now, at the present moment, we are all quarantined within our homes. What is it that we can give? And what we can give is we can pray. And we can pray on behalf of humanity. And we can pray that we individually become closer to God. We can pray that our qualities become closer to Him. Because if we can do this, we can be of great service to the rest of humanity. The Quran says, if you save one life, you have saved all of humanity. Think about that. If you can become real, it will assist the rest of the world in becoming real. So each of us has the opportunity, without doing anything except sitting still and letting go of everything that we're attached to within this elemental world, and integrating the truth into our being. And in this effort of becoming real, we become an assist and an aid to all of humanity. Imagine that when difficulties come and Allah looks at the world to see who has become His true devotees, how many of them are there? Can you be counted? We have to take the individual responsibility to be counted among the ones who believe, the ones who do what's appropriate, the ones who've given up ourselves to Him, the ones who've surrendered. The word surrender is very powerful in Islam. Islam means to surrender, and it means that there's a transition from the self to the greater. And what is the greater? What is the all-encompassing? What is beyond that which we know? Allah is the greater. Allah is the all-encompassing. Allah is everywhere and everything. And if we can give up that self that we hold on to so dearly, that's what's available to us. The fear that people have is that we're going to lose what we have, that we'll lose all of the things that we know. But in truth, these will be replaced by something much greater than anything that we can imagine. The problem that we have is we're limited by our imagination, and we believe that that which we can understand, we can imagine. We have to get to the point where we begin to know that there are things beyond our imagination, beyond what we think we can know, and we have to allow ourselves to get on the precipice of where that's available. And if we can stand on the precipice of where that's available, then amazing things can happen. But we can't hold on while we're doing it. We have to be ready to jump and believe that Allah will catch us. We have to be ready to go into the unknown. We have to be ready to give up our memory bank for that which is the unknown future. We can't continuously live the next moment based on all of our previous experiences and our previous moments. Unless We surrender our previous moments. Our previous moments will create our next moments. And if we're going to have new next moments, we have to let go of all of our past moments, past ideas, and past ways of doing and seeing and wanting things to happen. We cannot influence our future through our past and expect that something new will occur, that there will be a new future, that there will be a new us. A new us occurs when the old us is surrendered, when the old us is left. Then the pathway is opened up for the new us to appear. And you won't know what that is until it is. And you can't know what that is until it is. So don't expect to predict what's going to happen. Allow what's going to happen. And you do this by losing yourself. That's why the dervishes whirl. That's why the dervishes do zikr for hours as opposed to minutes. That's why the dervishes take sufficient time to pray so that they can lose the attachment to the world. If it doesn't happen in 5 minutes, give it 10. If it doesn't happen in 10 minutes, give it a half hour. If it doesn't happen in a half hour, give it an hour. But it's going to take time to change your state. We have been in this state of who we are for such a long period of time that you should imagine it will take a long period of time to get somewhere else. It's something like losing weight. It doesn't happen in a minute. It happens over time through consistent habits, through consistent new ways of doing things, through a consistency that doesn't fall back. So we have to establish within our lives a daily ritual that allows us to take time off from the world, to transcend the world, and to go towards reality, to go towards Hak, to go towards the truth. And it's only when we do this that we will entertain new experiences and understand what else is available to us. If we assume that everything that's available to us has already been seen, then we are limiting ourselves to what we've seen. It's only when we can open up our own vistas through understanding that our imagination is limited and allowing ourselves to expand our point of view, to expand that which we think is possible, not knowing what the outcome will be or can become, that we can take that journey into transcendence. This is the work that we have been given. This is the work that we are told to do. We are told to expand ourselves out of ourselves into reality, to expand ourselves, and the way we expand is to disappear. If the caterpillar wasn't able to give up being a caterpillar, he would never be a butterfly. So if we insist on being whatever we call ourselves or whatever idea we have of ourselves, and we insist on taking this with us throughout our entire life, that's what's going to happen. We're going to take ourselves from here to there to the next place, but we're not going to change. Change requires an alteration of some sort. And Islam says that this alteration is through surrendering whatever ideas, images that you have of yourself now to allow the next phase to occur. And the next phase can and will occur if you allow it to happen. Understand that the obstacle between you and the next phase is you. And when you disappear, the next phase will happen. And the Sufis attempt to have this next phase happen while they are still on this earth. The next phase is going to occur for each of us eventually. The door of death is before us at every moment. And at some moment, it's going to open up and we will leave this body. To die before death is our intention. To die before death is our inclination. To die before death is the path that we have chosen to go on to find reality while still within this being. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, our Father and Protector, our Nourisher and Sustainer, O one unique one, make us brave. Give us the courage to surrender our being. Give us the courage to give up everything so that we may know you. Give us the courage to leave behind our so-called life so that we can enter into truth and into light. Give us the courage to be able to know you. Give us the courage to abandon our habits. Give us the courage to abandon our comforts. Give us the courage to move forward towards reality and leave illusion behind. Give us the courage to move across this ocean of non-reality into the light of truth and reality. Give us the courage to give up all that we hold dear. Give us the courage to see through all of the illusory things that have been brought into our life and that make up our existence. Give us the courage to do this, Allah, and give us the aid and assistance to be able to do that. You alone are responsible for us. You alone do we look to for aid, and we ask you to give us this aid. And Allah, bring us towards you and do this for us now, and do this for all of humanity, so that humanity will understand the truth of your existence, and all of the difficulty within this world will end. All of the separations will end. All of the sectarianism will end. All of the differences will end. All of the separations will end once we know the truth that is you. Allow that truth to be seen and allow all of mankind to know that truth. Ameen, Ameen, Ya Rabbil Alam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.